Can you vlog on the Leica SL2s? This is a question that I have been asking myself before getting the Leica, and I've noticed there are not a lot of videos on this topic. So let's grab the Leica and let's see if you can vlog on it. Ever since transitioning to the Leica SL2s, I have actually not had any problems with it. The transition was super easy and I don't miss my Canon at all. There are a couple of downsides to this camera, more specifically the weight, but this can be easily adjusted with the nice 35mm lenses that you get right now because they're pretty lightweight as well. As you can see, I am actually holding this camera right here in my hands and walking around vlogging. This is how it looks. So the question is, can you vlog with this camera? And as you can see, it's actually very simple. You have to get the right angle. You just have to hold the camera basically, and it's fairly simple without having a flip out screen to look at. And sometimes I actually really find the flip out screen very disturbing because you end up looking into the screen and not into the camera. So let's talk about the whole scene, how I set everything up, how it actually works to vlog on this camera. So this is the normal setup. This is how I actually use the camera normally. And this is actually the easiest way to use the camera. I have a microphone on top. I have the camera here. I have it on a stand. I'm gonna switch back to the Leica. One of the most challenging parts of filming on this camera is that you do not have a flip out screen. While I think that especially for vlogging or for these types of formats, when you have the camera on a stand, you can set up the scene with your mobile phone or with an external screen. It's very good because you are not distracted in looking at yourself in the flip out screen, but you're more focused in interacting with you, the audience. This is something that I really appreciate because it keeps the setup very minimal and it takes away a distraction. There are other great things that I like about this camera. It has IBIS, which does help when vlogging or being on the go with the camera. The camera itself is very robust. I have seen myself throw this camera in my backpack or into my car, carrying it around Watches and Wonders for a whole week without having a scratch or anything. It's a really robust workhorse of a camera. And yes, there might be some functions that you miss on this particular camera compared to a Canon or a Sony. Then again, you get other things. You get a minimalist, very good looking camera. And you do get L-Log, which I have found very interesting to film on. It's fairly good in terms of color grading, and some of you will hate me for this. You do get the whole Leica look, the aesthetic that comes with a Leica. Not only the camera, but the actual pictures and film that you get with this camera. There's one more thing that I like to mention because this is something that I screwed up a lot on with my Canon. This camera has a button which allows you to switch seamlessly between photo or video modes. Both modes can be set up individually. The settings will not transfer over, but they're set individually, which is a massive help for me because I forget a lot. And then again, if I switch between these modes, my settings are there. I do not have to do anything. Overall, I do find that the camera is bigger compared to my Canon EOS RP that I had previously. Much heavier, it's larger in size. However, with the 35mm lens that I have on this camera, it doesn't actually make the camera too heavy. You can carry this around, and I've done it. I've carried this camera around for a week, and you can hold it in your hand without your arm falling off. I do recommend that you have some practice with it because it might get a little bit shaky, but you do have IBIS and that will definitely help. To answer the question that we have had before, can you vlog on this camera? Yes, there are a couple of downsides, but there are a couple of upsides as well. I think overall, for a YouTube setup like this, where you have the camera on a stand, you can set up
the scene with the Leica Photos app, which is perfect and it works seamlessly. And this is the question that I asked myself a lot before getting the camera. I had no idea there was not a lot of content out there, and I was asking myself, can you use it for a YouTube setup? And is it an all-round camera to use for both photography and for videos? The answer that I found for me is yes. And I'm very intrigued in getting into the M lenses and pushing the boundaries even further and learning something new again. If you have any questions on this setup, please do put your questions in the comments down below, or if you want to, you can reach out over on Instagram. I'm more than happy to answer your questions around the Leica SL2s. If you want more of these kinds of videos, more reviews on the camera itself, then please do also put your suggestions down in the comments. That's it for today. I really appreciate you watching this video. Thank you again for coming here and supporting this channel. As usual, if you feel like it, put a thumbs up. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.